Our fake president used a fake name, a pseudonym, and he is now being called out on it by none other than James Comer, House of Representatives on the Oversight Committee. We're learning more about this. He says, breaking, James Comer is requesting all unredacted documents and communications from the U.S. National Archives. The same National Archives that got very upset that Donald Trump had some overdue library books. They turned that over to the Biden White House. They referred it to the FBI, and they raided his house. Now James Comer is saying, hey, National Archives, since you archive everything, we need the following bits of data. One, we know that then Vice President Joe Biden used a pseudonym. Well, that's curious. What do you need a pseudonym for if you're not involved in any nefarious business? Hunter Biden, Eric Sherwin, and Devon Archer is copied, and all drafts of then Vice President's speech delivered to the Ukrainian Rada in December 2015. They say, hey, archives, if there's any overlap between Joe Biden's official duties and his son's activities in Ukraine, Americans deserve to know. And so this is the letter saying that old Joe Biden used an alias, Robert L. Peter. And that's an interesting name because we know the name Peter showed up in other places on the old Hunter Biden laptop. But first, let's see what the letter says from James Comer. It is being sent over to the National Archives. You see, it comes out from James Comer from Kentucky, chairman on the Oversight and Accountability Committee, United States House of Representatives. Sent over to Colleen Shogan, National Archivist. They say, all right, dear Dr. Shogan, Comer says, our committee is investigating Joe Biden and his meetings and communications with certain family members and business associates during the time that he was VP. NARA, the National Archives, has published Joe Biden's vice presidential record collection, which contains information that's relevant to our committee's work. Many of these records have been redacted pursuant to the Presidential Records Act and the FOIAs, but to further our investigation, we need to review these things in their original format. All right, so we're going to need you to lift those redactions off. The committee seeks unrestricted special access to the Presidential Records Act to case number 2020-022-F. And this one's entitled Email Messages to or from Vice President Biden and Hunter Biden related to Burisma and Ukraine, which has been published on NARA's website. The National Archives have it published. This is the Biden records. Email messages to and or from Vice President Joe Biden and Hunter Biden related to Burisma and Ukraine. Interesting. So these records, which are publicly available, have been redacted for public release. For example, an email bearing the subject, the Friday schedule card, is withheld. We can't see anything under parts P6 and B6. These are restrictions saying it's personal information. That's why it's been redacted. Attached to this email and made available also on the NARA website is a document that indicates that at 9 a.m. on May 26, VP Biden took a call with the president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko. It's concerning to Oversight, however, that this document was sent. This document was sent to Robert L. Peters. That's interesting. Vice President took a call, but the document was sent to Robert L. Peters. Oh, yeah. A pseudonym the committee has identified as Vice President Biden. Additionally, the committee questions why then Vice President's son, Hunter, and only Hunter, was copied on this email to the then Vice President. And so we've got questions about this, obviously. To further our investigation, the committee needs to review these documents. Please send them over no later than August 31st, including 1. Complete unredacted versions of all documents from the case, any documents or communications in which a pseudonym for Vice President Joe Biden was included, either as a sender, recipient, copied, or was included in the contents of documentation or communication, including but not limited to other names. Here are other pseudonyms for Joe Biden: Robert Peters, Robin Ware, and JRB Ware. Any documents under pseudonym Joe. Gosh, maybe that's why Andrea Mitchell couldn't find any of those records somewhere, you know? Not going to see a direct deposit for Joe Biden because it's in the bank account for Robert Peters. Any document or communication in which Hunter, Eric Sherwin, Devon Archer was included as a sender, recipient, copied, or included in the contents of the documents. All drafts of VP Biden's speech that was delivered December 9th. And they say that special access to presidential records may be granted to Congress if it's within the jurisdiction of their committee. And that vice presidential records are governed the same way. They tell the National Archives that our committee needs these records. We craft legislative solutions that might impact immediate family members members of vice presidents were concerned that foreign nationals have access to political figures and might be exploiting them, including members of the Biden family. And so this is our legislative purpose. We would direct you, if you need to know why this is important, we would direct you to 3 bank records memoranda that we've already released. They say also, NARA, we've got broad authority. We're Congress. We can investigate whatever we want. Tell us when you're going to send these letters over to us. Give us a call if you have any questions. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer, Chairman, Committee on Oversight and Accountability. And so, wow, that's pretty amazing. We now have a pseudonym vice president who is the actual president who used the name Robert L. Peters. And what is that all about? And why is Hunter involved in those emails? Now, something that people have noticed is that in the Hunter Biden laptop, there was a curious email, including a picture of this. From Johnny Maga on Twitter. Says, James Comer just revealed that Joe Biden used a pseudonym, Robert Peters. This literally confirms that Pedo Peter, the contact in Hunter's iCloud account, was Joe. And you can fill in the gaps here, but this apparently is from the laptop. Mom and Pedo Peter. Mom. And this text message says, you getting a ride with Preston? You getting a ride with Preston? Nana, Pop, Pick and I both up at Mac's Garden. You taking Nana to see Uncle and Uncle Jim's today? Birthday. Drove. Ask Pop. Mom and Pedo Peter. Down here we have Jill Biden and Pedo Peter, and Aunt Ashley and Pedo Peter. Who is this Peter fellow? And why is Joe Biden calling himself Peter? And why is Hunter Biden calling him Peter? I don't know. Very curious moniker to appropriate for oneself. Now, Nancy Mace got asked about this. She was here opining about the economics before she got asked about Americans and their opinions on Joe Biden.
Especially Republicans who are not going to spend too much. I'm a true believer, and you'll see me act that way this fall when we get to it.
Well, I'll tell you, impeachment is another issue, but I want you to take a look at this Fox News poll. It looks like Democrats, Republicans, and independents are all increasingly believe that Hunter Biden did something illegal compared to the numbers from February. So you've got now 19% of the Democrats think that Hunter did something illegal compared to 9% in February. Republicans, 80% compared to 69%. And independents, 50% of independents think that Hunter Biden did something illegal compared to 30%. So given that that's the movement of the American people, I mean, is there anything that the Republicans are going to do with respect to impeachment?
Nah, probably not.
Well, we have to continue showing the facts. The mainstream media and the left want you to think that this kind of behavior is normal. There's nothing normal about selling your country out for mind-boggling amounts of money. And the more the American people learn, the less that they trust. They know that the Republicans are telling the truth. And I'm not going to stop until 100% of Americans know the truth and know what happened with the Biden family and the amount and level of corruption. This will be one of the most corrupt presidencies in United States history when we're done with it. And we shouldn't stop until every single American knows what happened.
All right. So the Oversight Committee that you're on is the tip of the spear. What's next?
Well, we also have the Judiciary Committee and the Ways and Means Committee. I think it's time this fall when we get back in session to start subpoenaing people. We should know every single witness. We should know every single bank record and bank account. The Americans, they don't trust Congress, but I want them to trust the evidence that comes forward. Every bit of evidence that we find on every one of these committees ought to be released to the American people. Let them judge for themselves how bad it truly is.
Initially we heard that there were about 9 or 10 banks. When are you getting the next group of bank records?
I hope we'll get it in the next couple of weeks when we're back in session in September. It can't happen soon enough, but I have to tell you, I mean, we're dealing with foreign banks, foreign countries. Those things take time. They cost money.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If I could show the SARS reports that we've seen, we can't because they're confidential and it would be illegal for me to do that. But the amount of money laundering we're talking about, it is mind-blowing, the amounts of money that was exchanging hands.
The SARS reports, you're talking about those reports that are identified by the
suspicious
bank by the Department of the Treasury. There were about 175, as I recall, regarding Hunter Biden,
yes.
and nothing happened.
175?
That's right.
All right. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, good luck to you. Americans want to see something happen.
We
Take
do.
care.
We
Hey,
do.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah, we do. We want to see exactly some action happen. So Nancy Mace says that they're going to, they're taking a break. All right. Congress gets tired, so they have to take a whole month off. So they'll be back in September, and then they're going to start digging into this. But my goodness, we got Robert L. Peter. He's got a bunch of other names and foreign bank accounts. I think, man, this shell is probably just getting started to be cracked, which might be why they're creating some infrastructure to show Biden the door at some point. We'll see. Of course, we'll continue to cover our fake president, fake Joe Biden, fake Robert L. Peter, whatever his stupid pseudonyms are. Doesn't matter. He's incompetent regardless of what he calls himself.